In 2004, marine biologist Dr. Edith Witter was conducting routine research in the Gulf of Mexico when her camera captured something that would change deep sea biology forever. At a depth of 2,000 feet, she witnessed a creature that looked like it came straight from a horror movie. A living fossil with transparent red skin, glowing eyes, and tentacles covered in rows of spines. This was the vampire squid, and it was just the beginning of what we would discover in the abyss. You are watching Science Revealed, and today we are diving into the 15 most terrifying creatures lurking in the deepest, darkest parts of our ocean. Some of these will haunt your nightmares. The ocean covers over 70% of Earth's surface, yet we have explored less than 5% of it. We have better maps of Mars than we do of our own seafloor. The deep ocean, everything below 650 feet, is the largest habitat on Earth, and it is filled with creatures so bizarre, so alien, that they challenge everything we thought we knew about life itself. These are not just strange-looking animals. These are evolutionary masterpieces, perfectly adapted to survive in conditions that would kill most life on Earth instantly. Let me take you on a journey from the Twilight Zone down to the Hadal Zone, the deepest parts of the ocean, where the pressure is so intense it could crush a car like a soda can. At each depth, the creatures get stranger, more terrifying, and more fascinating. We begin our descent at around 650 feet below the surface, entering the mesopelagic zone, also known as the Twilight Zone. This is where sunlight starts to fade, creating an eerie blue twilight that gets dimmer with every meter you descend. And it is here that we meet our first creature, the vampire squid. Despite its terrifying name, this animal is actually quite small, only about 6 inches long. But do not let its size fool you. The vampire squid earned its name from its jet black or deep red coloration and the webbing that connects its 8 arms, making it look like it is wearing a vampire cape. When threatened, it pulls this cape over its body, inverting itself into a spiky ball covered in soft, fleshy spines called cirri. Its eyes are the largest in proportion to its body of any animal on Earth, each one about the size of a dog's eye on a creature smaller than a football. These massive eyes allow it to see in almost complete darkness, detecting the faintest bioluminescent glows from potential predators or prey. But here is the truly alien part. When it feels threatened, the vampire squid can turn itself inside out and produce a cloud of bioluminescent mucus that glows for up to 10 minutes. This sticky, glowing slime confuses predators while the vampire squid escapes into the darkness. At around 1,000 feet, we encounter something that looks like a creature from prehistoric times, because in many ways it is. The goblin shark is what scientists call a living fossil, virtually unchanged for 125 million years. This shark has pinkish gray skin, a long flattened snout covered in electrical sensors, and jaws that can extend outward like a terrifying alien from a science fiction film. When the goblin shark detects prey, its jaws shoot forward at incredible speed, projecting out of its mouth to grab the victim before the prey even knows what happened. The mechanism is called slingshot feeding, and it happens in just 30 milliseconds. That is 3 times faster than you can blink. Goblin sharks can grow up to 12 feet long and weigh over 400 pounds. They spend most of their lives at depths between 900 and 3,000 feet, rising slightly at night to hunt. Their pink coloration comes from blood vessels visible through their translucent skin, giving them a ghostly, undead appearance. Scientists believe there may be only a few thousand goblin sharks in the entire world, making them one of the rarest sharks in existence. Continuing our descent to around 1,500 feet, we enter the realm of the viperfish, one of the most ferocious predators in the deep sea, despite being only about 12 inches long. The viperfish has teeth so long they do not fit inside its mouth. The fangs curve back toward the fish's eyes and are so massive that when the viperfish closes its mouth, the teeth actually slide into special grooves on either side of its brain. Think about that for a second. This fish has evolved teeth so large that it needed to develop skull sockets to avoid stabbing its own brain. The viperfish also has the largest teeth relative to head size of any fish in the ocean. To put this in perspective, if a human had proportionally similar teeth, they would be over 15 inches long. The viperfish uses bioluminescence to attract prey, producing light from photophores along its body. It hangs motionless in the water, its light organ glowing like a lure, waiting for curious fish to come close enough. Then, with explosive speed, it lunges forward, impaling its victim on those massive fangs. The viperfish can live at depths up to 9,000 feet and can withstand pressure that would instantly kill most ocean creatures. At 2,000 feet, we meet perhaps the most famous deep-sea creature, the anglerfish. There are over 200 species of anglerfish, and all of them look like nightmares given physical form. They have enormous mouths filled with translucent, needle-sharp teeth that angle inward, ensuring that anything that enters their mouth cannot escape. Many species have grotesque, fleshy appendages growing from their bodies, and their skin is often jet black to blend into the darkness. But the anglerfish's most distinctive feature is the bioluminescent lure that extends from the top of its head like a fishing rod. This lure, called an esca, dangles in front of the anglerfish's mouth, glowing with bacteria that the fish cultivates in a symbiotic relationship. Small fish, attracted to the light, swim closer to investigate, and in one explosive gulp, the anglerfish's jaw expands to swallow prey up to twice its own size. The anglerfish's stomach can stretch to accommodate enormous meals, because food is so scarce in the deep ocean that when you find it, you need to eat as much as possible. But here is where things get even stranger. The anglerfish you typically see in pictures with the glowing lure is always female. Male anglerfish are tiny, sometimes 1/60th the size of females. When a male finds a female, he bites into her body and fuses with her permanently. His body degenerates until he is nothing more than a pair of testes attached to the female, providing sperm whenever she needs it. The male's blood supply merges with hers, and he becomes a parasitic appendage, completely dependent on the female for survival. This is the most extreme form of sexual dimorphism in the animal kingdom. At 3,000 feet, we discover the giant isopod, a creature that looks like a pill bug or roly-poly that went to the gym and got terrifyingly large. These creatures can grow up to 16 inches long and weigh over 3 pounds, making them one of the largest members of the crustacean family. Giant isopods are scavengers, crawling along the ocean floor looking for dead whales, fish, or squid that have sunk from above. They have compound eyes with over 4,000 individual facets, giving them excellent vision in the dim light of the deep ocean. Their bodies are protected by rigid, overlapping segments of exoskeleton that make them look like underwater armored tanks. When threatened, they can roll into a tight ball, protecting their soft underside. Giant isopods can survive for years without eating. One specimen in a Japanese aquarium went 5 years without food before eventually dying, apparently of starvation. This ability to survive extreme fasting is crucial in the deep ocean, where food is incredibly scarce and meals may be months apart. Descending to 4,000 feet, we enter the midnight zone proper, and here we find the frilled shark, another living fossil that has remained virtually unchanged for 80 million years. The frilled shark looks more like an eel than a shark, with an elongated body, a flattened head, and a mouth positioned at the very front of its snout rather than underneath, like most sharks. But it is the teeth that make this creature truly nightmarish. The frilled shark has 25 rows of backward-facing, trident-shaped teeth, totaling over 300 individual teeth in its mouth. These teeth are designed to snag and hold slippery prey like squid and fish, making escape virtually impossible. When the frilled shark catches prey, it strikes like a snake, lunging forward with its jaws wide open, then clamping down and using its flexible body to coil around the victim. The frilled shark can grow up to 7 feet long, and its body is covered in 6 pairs of frilly gills that inspired its name. These gills are much larger and more elaborate than those of most sharks, helping the frilled shark extract oxygen from the oxygen-poor water of the deep ocean. Frilled sharks give birth to live young after a gestation period that scientists believe may last up to 3.5 years, the longest known gestation period of any vertebrate. At 5,000 feet, we encounter the gulper eel, also called the pelican eel, and it is one of the most bizarre fish in the entire ocean. This creature has a mouth so large it can swallow prey larger than itself. Its jaw is loosely hinged, allowing it to open to an enormous gape, and its stomach can expand like a balloon to accommodate massive meals. The gulper eel can grow up to 3 feet long, but most of that length is tail. Its body is thin and ribbon-like, and at the end of its whip-like tail is a glowing organ that scientists believe may be used to attract prey. The gulper eel swims through the water with its enormous mouth wide open, scooping up anything that drifts inside. Despite having such a huge mouth, the gulper eel actually has tiny teeth, suggesting it primarily eats small crustaceans and fish rather than large prey. One of the strangest things about gulper eels is that when brought to the surface, their bodies often inflate with water and they appear to explode. This happens because the extreme pressure change from the deep ocean to the surface causes the gases in their bodies to expand rapidly. Scientists have found gulper eels with stones in their stomachs, possibly swallowed to help the eel control its buoyancy in the water column. Continuing to 6,000 feet, we meet the dragonfish, a predator with one of the most sophisticated hunting strategies in the deep ocean. Dragonfish are relatively small, usually around 6 inches long, but they possess bioluminescent organs under their eyes that produce red light, something almost no other deep-sea creature can do. Most bioluminescence in the ocean is blue or green because those wavelengths travel best through water. Red light is absorbed quickly and is essentially invisible at depth. This gives dragonfish a massive advantage. They can illuminate their prey with red light that they can see but their prey cannot, like a hunter using night vision goggles. The dragonfish also has huge fangs, some species with teeth so large they cannot close their mouths completely. Their bodies are covered in photophores that can flash in specific patterns, possibly for communication or to confuse predators. Female dragonfish are much larger than males and are the ones with the impressive teeth. Males are smaller, lack teeth, and do not feed at all in their adult stage. They exist only to reproduce and die shortly after mating. At 8,000 feet, we find the fang-toothed fish, which holds the record for the largest teeth relative to body size of any fish in the ocean. Despite growing only about 6 inches long, the fang-tooth has teeth so massive that when it closes its mouth, special sockets in its skull allow the lower fangs to slot in next to the fish's brain. The fang-tooth is also one of the deepest living fish ever discovered, with some specimens found at depths exceeding 16,000 feet, well into the abyssal zone. The pressure at those depths is over 500 times greater than at sea level, equivalent to having a large elephant standing on every square inch of your body. The fang-tooth has a massive head, tiny eyes, and a body covered in prickly scales. Despite its terrifying appearance, the fang-tooth primarily eats small fish and crustaceans. Scientists believe it hunts by simply swimming through the water with its mouth open, letting its teeth snag anything that touches them. Fang-toothed fish undergo one of the most dramatic transformations of any deep-sea creature. The larvae look completely different from adults, with long spines protruding from their heads and completely different body shapes. For years, scientists thought they were different species until they tracked the larval development. At 10,000 feet, we enter the Hadal zone, named after Hades, the ancient Greek underworld. This is the deepest zone in the ocean, found only in deep-sea trenches. Here we find the Dumbo octopus, one of the strangest and cutest creatures in the abyss. The Dumbo octopus gets its name from the pair of ear-like fins that protrude from the top of its head, making it look like the Disney elephant character. These fins are actually used for propulsion, flapping like wings as the octopus hovers above the seafloor. Dumbo octopuses have been found at depths up to 23,000 feet, making them the deepest living octopuses in the world. They grow to about 12 inches long and have soft, gelatinous bodies that help them survive the crushing pressure. Unlike most octopuses, Dumbo octopuses do not have an ink sac because there is no light at those depths for ink to obscure. They feed on small crustaceans, worms, and other creatures that live on or near the ocean floor. The Dumbo octopus swallows its prey whole because it has no radula, the rasping tongue structure that most mollusks use to break down food. At 13,000 feet, we discover sea pigs, which are technically sea cucumbers, but look like something from an alien planet. These pink, blob-like creatures have inflated, translucent bodies and tiny tube feet that they use to walk along the seafloor in herds. Yes, herds. Sea pigs travel in groups of up to several hundred individuals, moving slowly across the ocean bottom, feeding on organic particles in the mud. They look like little pink balloons with legs, and their skin is so thin you can see their internal organs through it. Sea pigs play a crucial role in the deep sea ecosystem, acting like underwater earthworms that process and recycle nutrients on the seafloor. They have specialized tube feet on top of their bodies that scientists believe function like antennae, detecting chemical signals in the water that might indicate food sources. Despite living in one of the harshest environments on Earth, sea pigs are actually quite abundant, covering large areas of the abyssal seafloor. At 15,000 feet, we encounter the black swallower, a fish with one of the most extreme adaptations in the animal kingdom. This 10-inch fish has a stomach that can stretch to more than twice the length of its own body, allowing it to swallow prey that is significantly larger and heavier than itself. The black swallower has a huge mouth with backward-pointing teeth and an expandable stomach with no scales, just a thin membrane that can stretch to incredible proportions. When it swallows a large fish, the black swallower's belly becomes so distended that you can see the outline of the prey fish through its skin. Sometimes the prey is so large that it begins decomposing in the black swallower's stomach before it can be fully digested. The decomposition produces gases that make the black swallower buoyant, causing it to float toward the surface. This is actually how scientists discover most black swallowers. They float to the surface dead, their stomachs grotesquely swollen with half-digested prey. At 16,000 feet, we find the stargazer fish, one of the most venomous and aggressive fish in the deep ocean. This fish buries itself in the sand with only its eyes and mouth visible, waiting to ambush prey. The stargazer has eyes on the top of its head, hence the name, and a large upward-facing mouth. It also has two large venomous spines behind its head and can deliver an electric shock of up to 50 volts. The stargazer lies motionless, sometimes for hours, until an unsuspecting fish swims overhead. Then it explodes upward, opening its enormous mouth and creating a powerful suction that pulls the prey inside. The entire strike takes less than 1/10 of a second. Stargazers have been known to be extremely aggressive, even attacking divers who get too close. Their venom can cause intense pain, swelling, and in severe cases, respiratory distress. At 18,000 feet, we discover the hatchet fish, a tiny creature with one of the most extreme adaptations for camouflage in the animal kingdom. The hatchet fish has a body shaped like a hatchet blade, extremely thin when viewed from the side, making it nearly invisible to predators looking at it from that angle. But the truly remarkable adaptation is its bioluminescence. The hatchet fish has light-producing organs on its belly that it can adjust to match the faint light filtering down from above. This is called counter-illumination, and it makes the fish effectively invisible to predators looking up from below. The hatchetfish can fine-tune the intensity and pattern of its belly lights to perfectly match the background light, making its silhouette disappear. These fish have tubular eyes that point upward, helping them spot the silhouettes of prey against the dim light from the surface. They typically grow only 1 to 2 inches long, but they are so numerous that they make up a significant portion of the biomass in the deep ocean. Finally, at 20,000 feet, we encounter our last creature, the pelican eel, one of the most bizarre fish ever discovered. This creature has a mouth that is much larger than its body, with jaws that can open to enormous angles. When its mouth is fully open, the pelican eel looks like a living fishing net with a tail attached. The pelican eel can grow up to 3 feet long, and most of that length is the thin, whip-like tail that ends in a glowing organ. Scientists believe the glowing tail tip may be used as a lure to attract prey into the enormous mouth. The pelican eel's jaw is loosely connected, allowing it to scoop up large volumes of water filled with tiny crustaceans and fish. Once the prey is inside, the eel closes its mouth and expels the water through its gills, trapping the food inside. Despite having such a huge mouth, the pelican eel has a tiny digestive system, suggesting it primarily eats very small prey. When pelican eels are brought to the surface, they often vomit their stomachs out of their mouths due to the pressure change, a defense mechanism seen in many deep sea fish. What all these creatures have in common is that they have evolved to survive in one of the most hostile environments on Earth. The deep ocean is completely dark, freezing cold, with pressure that would crush human bones instantly, and with food so scarce that a single meal might need to last for months. Yet these creatures have not just survived, they have thrived, developing some of the most extreme and fascinating adaptations in the entire animal kingdom. They remind us that life is far more resilient and creative than we ever imagined. The deep ocean is the last great frontier on Earth, and we have barely scratched the surface of what lives down there. Scientists estimate that there may be over 1 million species in the deep ocean that we have not discovered yet. Every time we send a submersible to the depths, we find something new, something unexpected, something that challenges our understanding of biology. The creatures we have explored today are real, not science fiction, and they are sharing our planet right now, living in a world of eternal darkness beneath our feet. What do you think is the most terrifying creature of the deep ocean? Let me know in the comments below, and if you enjoyed this journey into the abyss, make sure to subscribe to Science Revealed, because we have more incredible ocean mysteries coming soon. Thanks for watching, and remember, we know more about the surface of Mars than we do about our own ocean floor. The deep sea is waiting to be explored.